Love Wins by the Stewards. It's a late edition. Happy Memorial Day. How you doing, baby?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm not seeing your voice on my thing. Are you talking?
My voice is on your thing. What are you not saying?
I'm not seeing.
What are you not saying? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear myself.
You can hear yourself?
I can hear myself really well.
I want to see you.
There it is, right there. There it is.
All right, there it is. I need to see you. I need to see your. You see
there
your
it
lines.
is. Here we are.
There we are.
Here we are.
All right, we got a late edition tonight. Happy Memorial Day. Love Wins by the Stewards. It is season 3, episode number 3. And yep. Do I need to come closer to you? I can't see you on the deal. But we're trying something. We're trying something new today. I am also streaming live on my IG page.
Instagram. Hi.
Yeah, we're trying to get bigger and better and do things bigger and better.
Okay, so let's get in because he's kind of procrastinating for no reason.
I'm trying to make sure I'm doing our preps. Please be patient with me, sweetie. So happy Memorial Day. So we need to get into paying bills. Sponsors. We do this podcast every week, and we are looking for sponsors. If you want to sponsor the page, Netta, tell them the email address they need to go to.
No, you tell them.
It's stewart.lovewins@gmail.com.
Good. That's it.
So send an email. I think the quickest way is just to inbox myself, Brian Stewart, on Facebook, or Shanetta Stewart on Facebook.
Oh, no, but them inboxes is
Well, I think that's the quickest
I get undesired inboxes.
Yeah. And
undesired.
And we are streaming live on our Facebook page so that you guys could. I know it's pretty late, but you're not doing anything.
It's gonna be hot once he get done.
Yeah, you're not doing anything. So please chime in and put your questions in here. We like to be interactive, so we stream on our Facebook page and now my IG page, so that you can ask your questions and we will answer them on the spot. Right now.
Yes.
All right, so sponsors, Empire is one of our sponsors, even though we haven't broadcast there this season because of COVID. We've been broadcasting from the house. But just to let you guys know what Empire got this Friday night, we got a night of love for Dee Dee Jones. So live music lovers, if you love to listen to live music, Empire is a place to be on Friday night. Dee Dee Jones, we've got Tawana Campbell, Chrissy P, Keith Savage, Butterfly, Steven Spud, many more. Just a lot of people that are performing this Friday night. Dee Dee has been down for like 2 months, and it's her comeback deal. It's her comeback party, and Dee Dee will also be performing. So get your tickets at EmpireLittleRock.eventbrite.com, and then on Friday we've got OMB Peasy. All right, so that's what's going on at Empire. If you want to, they need to subscribe to our Facebook, not our Facebook, but our download our app, right, and subscribe. So what do we need to do to get our podcast? That's what I'm trying to say. You're rushing me, so I'm trying to speed it up.
You can get our podcast on any podcast channel. So Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple, any podcast online or on an app, you can get our podcast. Just go to search for Love Wins by the Stewards, and that's the audio portion. The video portion of this is on Brian Stewart Senior on YouTube. You can subscribe there to get our live video portion, but any other portion that you like to hear us, you can get it on our audio portion is Love Wins by the Stewards, right?
And please, if you're on Facebook, please get our notification when we go live.
Yes.
Most of the time when we're going live to do an episode, and you want to be notified.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to tell y'all. So tonight is the first night, which you said earlier. Tonight is the first night that he has went live on Instagram. We're always live on Facebook. This is only while we're filming. So our podcast is very live, very interactive. So we only go live on our social media pages while we're filming. We don't house these and keep these on our pages. This is just while we're on here. So you guys can ask questions, comment. You guys give us topics. We always have open dialogue on our kind of live social media pages. So this is what this is for. So make sure you guys utilize this as a resource to do those things. Ask questions, share the videos. We want this to be very interactive. So we always kind of bring you guys hot topics for that reason, for you guys to be interactive, and you guys do so awesomely well. I know it's pretty late, but here we are.
Yeah,
anyway,
we're late because we had a big weekend. We went out to the families in Jacksonville and grilled, and so it's late that we're getting back. So let's get into the topic. Right?
Late.
So yesterday, Netta and I were talking. We went to visit her father, and we were talking.
Hey, Daddy.
Yeah, we were talking about
my other daddy.
How many daddies do you have? How many daddies do you have?
I mean, well, I mean, we're up late, so it's like rated. It's rated whatever you want to rate it to be. My daddy. So I have a dad. I have a father. And I have a father that has passed away. Right. And my father that's that we went to go see, which is my biological father. Mm-hmm. And I have a father that is deceased that raised me, and then I have you, and I call daddy. That's daddy.
So 3 daddies.
Yeah, I have that. Now I have one daddy, but I have like father. I have a father.
All right, so we went to see your biological father yesterday, and we were Netta and I were just talking about a situation that happened with her at one of her brothers. Her is a half brother, right? Because let's define half. So define them. Half is what half brother and sisters are.
So I've always thought that half was a father that's by a
sibling.
A sibling that's by the father, not necessarily. Or I think half sibling it could be. So I think any children that's by the mother that are siblings, you guys are just siblings. But if there are siblings by if you have the same parent, if you have the same mother and a different father, you would be a half sibling. If you have the same, is it the same if you all have the same dad?
I was thinking if you don't have both of the same parents, you're half. So if you have the same mother, this is my opinion. I don't know. I want you guys to chime in on this and give us your definition of a half sibling. So my definition of a half sibling, if you don't have the same mother and father. If you have the same mother but you have a different father, you're a half sibling.
No, so what it's supposed to be signified as, because the mother is a guarantee. So if you're a sibling and you guys share the same mother, you're just a sibling. But a half, I've always thought of a half sibling came
just the father, right?
Yes. So you guys chime in and let me know if I'm right or wrong. Yeah, I've always heard people say that, if we have the same mom, we're siblings. There is no half. We're siblings. But if you have a different father, that makes us half siblings. But if we have the same mom, because we all came from the same cootie cat or the same stomach, we're just siblings, right?
So you want to read? Can you read my Facebook stuff? They're already chiming in about what half is.
Someone says half is let's see, same father, different mother. Someone then says who's. Let's see, Bustin' Loose 2 says whole siblings are same mother and father, and SK3 Face says different mother. So we haven't gotten any comments on Facebook, but so maybe half siblings we'll look it up technically, but maybe half siblings are different mother, different father. But I've always thought that if it come from the same mother, you guys are just siblings. But if you have the same mother but a different father, that makes you then half siblings.
I really would like for somebody to look that up and put the definition of half sibling into our thread on Facebook or IG, because I am confused about that. And I think it's unfair that if you have the same mother, but you have a different dad, that's the only time that you could be in half. I think it would be fair if we have the same mother but different dad. I think we still should be half siblings. But I think you're saying that if the mother is like the difference, right? So if you have the same mother, you're not considered a half.
Yeah. I've always thought that if you have the same mother, you're not considered to be in half at that point. You're siblings. But if you have a different father, then that's when it comes in as a half sibling, is what I've always understood it to be.
Somebody let us know. Please go to somebody's up here.
Let's see. D says, I'm the youngest of 5 and I'm the only whole. So I've always been confused on the half sibling part as well. I'm so confused.
That confuses me.
So you guys when you guys it doesn't have to be. I mean, we would like for it to be a credible source. So if you guys
get the Webster's,
if you look it up, please let us know specifically. But that's what I've always assumed it to be. I've always assumed it to just be that. Nevertheless, so here we are back on topic.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about how we're getting to this, or do I need to explain to set up the deal of how we got into this conversation, and how do you want to do it?
So we got into this. Okay. So hold on first. So D says, according to Google, a half sibling is a brother or sister who has one parent in common. Sharika says half siblings are related by blood through one parent, either the mother or the father. So it's pretty much the same. Okay.
So
Okay.
my understanding, based on that, are we saying that my understanding is the right? So if you have, okay. So even if you have a mother and different dad, you're still a half sibling.
Because they're just saying blood. I guess if you're related by blood through one parent, either the mother or the father, that makes you a half. I mean, that makes you a sibling, I guess, is what you said.
So yeah, go ahead. You were talking about.
Nevertheless, so just a little background on putting you guys in my business, which is what this podcast is about.
Yeah.
Putting you guys in our business,
Y'all
right?
all in our business.
So I have my mom, I was raised with my mom and my mom. I have two older sisters, so I'm the baby of the family. Isn't that amazing? Yes. I'm the baby. So I'm the baby of the...
And you are amazing, too.
Thank you, babe. So I'm the baby of the family, and with my mom. So I've always kind of been raised with my mom. My sisters always just kind of been three, us, right? Mm-hmm. My siblings and I do not share the same father. They have the same father, and I have my own daddy. Right. So I have my own daddies, but with my own daddy, he has two children with his wife. So his wife, so he has two children with them. So which is, my brother and sister. Mm-hmm. But we're estranged. We're estranged for whatever reason it is, because, my dad wasn't in a house with me with my mom. So we're just estranged. We do have somewhat of a relationship, but we don't have the relationship as my sisters and I, because my sisters and I were raised in a home together. My two brother and sister, we were not raised in a home together. So that's the kind of estranged part of the relationship.
So when you say estranged, I want to kind of hold you right there, because some people would see the definition of estranged as y'all have issues with each other, and that's not
necessarily. That's not the definition of estranged.
Well, I mean, so estranged just mean what? How are you defining estranged? Just you don't talk as common, estranged, because I'm trying to figure out. Just set this up to the listener, to the viewer, to know that when you say estranged, that's not that you guys have issues with it.
So we know that we're brother and sister because we share fathers. Right. We have fathers, and we have the same father, and so it's like it's so weird to describe, but when someone asks me about my sibling, or someone said something and say about a sibling, I'm going to assume automatically Tamika and Sharon, because those are my two sisters that I was raised with. So I'm going to assume that. Right. I would probably, if you're speaking of my brother and sister, I'm going to ask more questions about them, because, it's like, so it's not like I forget about them, but it just doesn't come as common as it does with those that, I was raised in a home with. And same for them. They were raised in a home together. They're I think they're 7 years. Yes, my half brother and sister, they were raised. So the one that's by my dad, they were raised in a home together. So their relationship is more common. Their relationship with each other is where it is with my sister and my sisters and I. We were raised in a home together, so they're more common to each other. And I'm just like, oh yeah, you're our sister because this is our dad, but it's different. So that's what I mean by estranged. Not that we're beefing or nothing like that. It's just
And so I have sort of the same thing. I have two sisters and a brother by my mom, and then I have a sister and a brother on my dad's side. So it's kind of the same in the fact that we're talking about when you have half siblings.
You have to stop using your hand talking, because you blocking your face and my face on Instagram.
Okay, I can't use my hand. Hey y'all. So no, it's kind of like first of all. Do you think that when we're jumping into the meat and potatoes of the conversation, how do you guys become estranged? Like, why are you estranged? Like, why aren't you like Tamika and Sharon, who were raised in the house with you? Do you feel like it has a lot to do with your dad kind of making you guys or bringing you around each other so that you would not be estranged, so that you would know? Are we saying their names? Are we saying the siblings' names on the podcast, or are we not?
I don't care.
Okay, so we've got CJ and we got Monica. So on your dad's side, do you feel like you guys are estranged because you just didn't spend enough time with them? Do you feel like you didn't spend enough time with your dad? So that made you estranged because you wasn't in his home. You didn't get to know much. You didn't get to attend a lot of their birthday parties, and get to have a relationship with them. How are you guys? Mm-hmm.
Like whenever I came around, I was more or less like a guest than a sibling. So like even now, as you see, when we go around and visit, I'm like more like a guest than, you know, hey, my sister's here. It's like, you know, hey, what's going on? We hadn't seen you. But I think that really comes from, and this is just my honest opinion, I think it really came from, I had to spend a lot of time with my dad. And, you know, as adults, we had a conversation about that. As adults, my siblings and I had a discussion with our dad to basically say that, not to basically be accusatory, but it was a little accusatory because the conversation was is that you were the responsible party to ensure that we had a relationship as siblings, because you are the common denominator. You were the common factor in us being around each other, or, you know, getting that sibling bond or sibling, you know, love for each other. And so because you didn't constitute that, now we've basically grown up as strangers. So that's where that came from. It's just, I just spent time with him, and he didn't do a very good job with making sure that I had a relationship with them, and vice versa. They had a relationship with me as well.
Well, so if I ask a question, how was your relationship, your dad with your mom? Huh? Like, were they cool? Did they get along? Because, you know, I do want to say, I see that you're saying that sometimes, you know, it's the father's fault that, you know, the half siblings don't really, you know, get along like the siblings from the mom, because they're all half.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you're saying if your dad doesn't do a good job of making sure you know his other children, right, then you could become estranged. So my question to you is, you know, let's face it. Sometimes these females be out here tripping. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes these females.
Trying to say my mom was a bitter baby mama.
I'm asking. I don't know. But that could be a reason why dad was like. Sometimes these women can make it so hard to have a relationship with your children. Sometimes it could be personal. They still liking the dude. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so they can use the children as a pawn. Okay, that's you can see them today. You can't. That's true. You ain't buy them no Jordans, and you bought the other kids some Jordans, so you can't see them. And so I'm asking, how was that relationship with your dad and your mom? Was he able to come? Let me stop talking about my hands. Was he able to come and pick you up as he wanted to, as much as he wanted to? Mm-hmm. Was there a strange relationship between your dad and your mom? No. I think that my mom and they had a decent relationship. They still kind of, you know, did their thing or whatever. They weren't, you know, they ain't have no harsh feelings with each other. I just think that he just kind of dropped the ball because he had this makeshift family. So his kind of makeshift family seemed to be of more sheer importance than myself and my mom. Like, my mom wasn't that type chick. She wasn't just like, oh no, because I still want to fuck around with you, or because I want to deal with you, you know, I'm my feelings because you done moved on. No, because she had moved on and was going on by her merely way. She was basically, I will say, she was more upset with him because he would not try to spend time with me and not try to do the things that he was supposed to do as a father, rather than the opposing side. So she wasn't just no bitter baby mama out here like on some, you know, you done moved on with somebody else and now I'm in my feelings. Hell no. And when you say makeshift family, you mean the family that he married somebody else, and started another family that he did not include you? Yes, absolutely. He went on, and which is, you know, my mom was married anyway. She was married prior to him being married. But, you know, they just kind of, so no, she was not no bitter baby mama. It was none of that. She, you know, her not anger, but her feelings towards him was because you just out here just on the bowl. Like, my baby don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was kind of her feelings for him. Then she just got to the point she was like, fuck him. You know, she was just like, fuck him. Yeah. Like, you know, I'm straight. It is what it is. Yeah. Do you feel like that caused a relationship gap with your siblings on your dad's side? Oh, for sure. For sure. You know, when I say relationship gap, do you feel like that they have issues with you? Do you feel like you already said that you feel like you're guests when you come? You kind of seem like you're different just because you're in unfamiliar territory. You didn't really spend a lot of time at their home, so you feel like an outsider. So you've already kind of disclosed how you feel. Do you feel like they feel the same way about you? Like, okay, she's not really our sister because we don't really know her, or is it, oh, she cool to have a relationship when I want to have a relationship with her? How is that relationship between you and them? I think it's, if I have to guess, we've all struggled with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've all committed to being better in our relationship, being adults. But
as I said, for them it becomes automatic. It doesn't come automatic with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, for the two of them, it's automatic, just like it's automatic with me and my two sisters. You know what I'm saying? Like, but and so I sometimes it's a little hurtful, but it's almost like not that it doesn't matter, but it's kind of one of those things where I'm just kind of used to it. But you know, now being a mother and having children that are half siblings with others, it just kind of brings up, you know, different conversations and different topics. But if they do feel a ways about me, which sometimes I think they do, if they do feel a ways about me, I would hope that they would tell me. But they really not even have to tell me, because I can tell. I can kind of tell. Yeah, I can tell and I can feel. Yeah, absolutely.
And this weekend, something happened where we were over there, and you were shopping in a store, and the cashier said, I know your brother. And, you know, I guess people that approach you in the store, you're always a little kind of falling back with them anyway. But the way she approached it and said, I know know your brother. And your brother's name is CJ. But
that's not what she said.
Your brother's name is Cedric.
That's
He's
not
a
what
junior.
she said.
Okay, so explain it so I won't miss it.
So I'm in the store. So, okay, let's see what somebody said on Instagram. So, SK3 Face says, Talk B, and Bustin' Loose 2 says she's going to be closer to the one she lived with, for sure. So, y'all, anyway, so anyone that knows me knows that I am sometimes a friendly person. I am not a friendly person.
I know that.
I'm not a friendly person when I go out at the store. If I'm at the store, I want to go in the store, get my stuff, and go on, especially if I'm with my kids. If I'm with my family, I just want to do what I'm doing and go on.
So, don't speak to you, right? Or just wave, hey, how you doing?
It's a choice. If somebody speak, I'm gonna speak back. I'm not rude like that. Like, I don't want people to think I'm rude, because I'm not rude. But anyway, nevertheless, so I'm in the store. So I'm in the store. I'm trying to go in the store, and I'm trying to just grab, and I want to grab and go on, right?
Right.
So I'm checking out. The lady didn't speak. So that's the first thing. You work in customer service. Why you ain't speak? So why you like, hey, ma'am, how are you? How's your day? No shit like that. She didn't say none of that. So I'm in the store, and the lady say, your brother Cedric? And I was like, what? This is the first thing the lady said to me, y'all. Your brother Cedric? And I'm like, what?
I know your brother Cedric?
No. She said, your brother Cedric? And I said, what? And she repeated it again. And I said, no, my daddy's Cedric. And she said, your brother Cedric. But after I said my daddy Cedric, and she came back and then repeated it, said, your brother. I was like, CJ? And she said, yeah. And I said, yeah. And that was it.
So let's set it up. Your dad's name is Cedric.
My daddy's name is Cedric.
Is Cedric. He's a junior, but you've known everybody to call him CJ.
Everybody calls my brother CJ.
So when somebody talks to you about somebody named Cedric, you automatically think
you're talking about my father.
Because if they were talking about your brother, they would say CJ. If they knew him really close, that everybody calls him CJ. So it threw you off when she said Cedric, even though that is your brother's name. Nobody calls him that, right?
Correct.
And so she went back after there was some type of little mixed understanding about who she was talking about. She went back and
on some messy shit.
Yeah, told someone else who actually told Inbox Cedric and said,
No. Let me say the president.
You want to say it? Okay.
The messy bitch was really messy. She was messy. So her daughter was dating my brother. Her daughter and my brother dated for like a couple of years.
You're going really in.
Yeah, I'm going to really go in, because I hope she watched the show to keep me from having to go back in the store, which I'm going to do this week.
All right.
But, so anyway, her daughter dated my brother for a couple of years. There wasn't a little friction between the daughter and I, because I ain't really know her. There was just a family conversation that she was involved in, and that part of the conversation was about her, so she knew about it. So the woman daughter dated my brother. The brother and the daughter has broken up since maybe a few months ago. They broke up or whatever. So they've broken up. So the lady must have told her daughter the situation. So the daughter texts my brother and says, my mama saw your sister at the store today, and she act like she didn't even know your name. She act like she didn't even know who you was.
Right.
That was a text.
Right. And so her brother was like, man, I ain't even tripping on her, because I know first of all, she being messy, because I don't deal with her anymore. So he didn't reply to the inbox. However, I think a little bit because you guys y'all are estranged, the word that you use, he probably second thought, well, damn, did she really say that she didn't?
Did she act like she didn't know who I was?
Did she really act like, you know what I'm saying? Because you guys' relationship are not an everyday sibling relationship. He second guessed if you really act that way. And then you had to tell him, no, hell no, that's not what happened, yada, yada. And then he was cool. But before he had the conversation with you, had it been one of your other siblings, they would have called out like, girl, you on some bullshit. I know damn well my sister didn't yada, 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 yada. But that's not how he approached it. Because
he just didn't say anything.
Yeah, he didn't say anything. A little bit because he didn't really fool with her and she thought she was on some messy. But a little bit was probably because he didn't really know if you.
What was my response?
Yeah, what's your response that way? Yeah. So we were just talking about, because even my situation, I've got a sister named Tiara and a brother named Jonathan that my father adopted. Now Jonathan and Jonathan lives in the same city that I live in. But he and I were really estranged, and I say estranged, not just not really talking. Tiara and I, she lives in Texas. I live in Arkansas. Obviously, it's the same setup like Shanetta, because we don't talk every day. It's not like Shea, Tanika, and Jermaine. We talk not every day, but we text a couple times a week. And for Dad, my dad was always, he was in the armed forces, so he kind of moved around. And then when he had Tiara, which I actually have a daughter and a sister the same age, kind of scary, isn't it? Kind of scary.
Scary isn't the word, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's crazy. But when he had Tiara, he started to settle down, but it's kind of like the same situation with you. By then, I was kind of grown.
I'm reading the comment. Go ahead.
I was kind of grown, so it's kind of like Shanetta said. It wasn't in our everyday practice to check on the other sibling because you didn't grow up with them. So it wasn't like you have a relationship with them because you wasn't around them that much. So it's the same thing. So are we any different from people out there? Do you guys have issues trying to have a relationship with siblings that were raised in your father's house? Because let's say most of the time you're raised with the mom.
Absolutely.
So we're not going to say half brothers and sisters, because they get your siblings that are raised by your mom, they're half too. But do you guys find it more of an issue to stay connected with your siblings that are raised in your dad's home, on your dad's side of the family? And how, and then I have a follow-up question to that, and I'll ask that. Why don't you read the comment before I go, and then I'll ask the question.
So someone says, let's see, SK3 Faith says, go back to that store and tell nasty, negative Nancy to mind her own family business. That's what I'm going back to tell her. And I told my daddy
and your dad's like,
I told my daddy and my brother that I'm going back to the store and I'm going to tell her. We're going to let's first of all, because you were on some messy shit, because there is nothing positive that could have came from you telling your daughter that I didn't know. I act as if I didn't know who my brother was, when again you called him on a first name basis. And anyone that has been around my brother through school or in our family or anything, no one calls him by his first name. Everybody knows him as CJ. Yeah. So when you said the first name and called him by it's his first name, I thought you were talking about my father. So I'm just going to go back in the store and tell her. So we're going to have a conversation about it. I'm not going to even give her a chance to redeem herself. I'm just going to tell her what she did that was messy.
Yeah, so you're going to say, yeah, I know you told my brother that messy ass stuff, that yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you and your messy ass daughter need to say, chill out.
Okay. So the next part of it is how does that get better? Like, how do you try, even though your dad... our dad didn't really do a good job of making, his other children be as close as, that's probably, I'm not going to say that's impossible, but that's more of a harder task unless you spend just as much time with your dad as your mom. If you on some, you don't see your dad as much, that's almost an impossible task for a father to do. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have your babies around your other children. That's the only way that this could feel. You could come away feeling like you guys are really not half siblings. As an adult, you said that you guys had a conversation that y'all were going to try to get better. Where has that been since then? Has it gotten any better?
At first it seemed to be a natural thing because that's something that we all wanted. And because I am considered, I'm the baby with my mom's children, but I'm the eldest with my dad's children. So
you're the oldest one between them.
Yeah, so I was like, because I am the oldest, I'm going to try to do better as my communicative efforts and just being more supportive and blah blah blah. And I tried, and then I never want anything to seem forced, like, you know what I'm saying? And so it didn't seem forced, but then a little bit it did. And then I kind of felt like I wanted to be something natural. Like, even though we didn't have that time, like, I wanted them to need me as I would need them at times. So I wanted to always be the phone call away, or something happened or something went on. Like, my sister and I have had conversations about things that has happened in different situations on her behalf and my behalf. But I wanted it to be like, like,
you didn't want it to seem like you were trying too hard, but like it was forced.
Yeah, I wanted them to get natural, loving feelings from what I was doing.
That would be hard if you guys didn't make it a plan to spend more time with each other. That's the only way it would come natural, is to be around each other for it to feel genuine and natural. Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question to our audience would kind of be the same. Like, whose responsibility is it for that to happen? And can it now happen at adult age? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it whomever the different parent is that the siblings that come from, whether it's the mother or the father, is it the mother or the father responsibility to bridge that gap between the kids? And if they're grown, then whose responsibility is it?
Yeah.
Or what happens then? Or does it just...
When you go to the side of your mic,
what happens then? Like, is it just like, oh, okay, we're grown now, Chad. You my brother. So if something happened to our mom or daddy, then, we just brother and sister.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And obviously, if it wasn't a good... If it didn't happen when you guys were young and your mother and father could kind of, put you guys around for that to be natural, it would probably be almost impossible as you're grown to make that happen from a parent perspective. I think that when you get older, it's either going to be the three of y'all responsibility to do it, because obviously your mom is passed and your dad is here. But if he didn't do it when you guys were young, it's probably going to be impossible for him to, because you guys are grown. And we were also talking, you and I were talking about, we have kind of patterned our life to, being close to family, but it's really hard with the way our life is set up. Like, I mean, if you look at what we do every week, you and I are doing the same things every week with our children, with our businesses, with each other. So you would have to purposely go out of your way to start another relationship, cultivate it, make time to hang out with them, make time to spend time with them, so that it could be. But I think it's never too late if the three parties want it. But the three parties have to, and I don't know if it will ever be like Tamika and Sharon's relationship.
No, and they're probably wrong. And that's, I'm not cool with it, because I would love for it to be a different relationship. I don't want to compare a relationship, from them to me, or me to my mom's children or whatever, because the situations are what they are. But it's just kind of a thing. But I know that the reason I wanted to talk about it is because everybody goes through it. Like, not everybody, but those that has different parents, a lot of people experience it. So I'm like, how do you fix it? Like, how is that resolved? And so I don't want them to go into, because my reassurance to them is like, listen, I love y'all. For a long time, I was really, really mad at my dad, because I'm just like, you could have done a way, way, way better job. You could have done a way better job. But because you didn't, here we are. And so, one thing I would like for him to do that he's never going to do, because he's too prideful. One thing I would like for him to do is have some accountability to the reason why we're not the way we are. But he's never going to do that, because when we talked about it, he was like, y'all grown now. You know how my daddy is.
You're saying that you would like to admit that he didn't do a great job running out for y'all to have that.
Yeah, he just like, oh, yeah, whatever. So, so let's see. So anyway, so who's that? SK3 Face says, I believe now as adults, it's the siblings' responsibility, but it shouldn't seem forced. I agree. What do you think?
Yeah, as I said, I think it's going to be the three of your responsibility to say, hey, it's important for us to gain a relationship, to spend more time. And I think there's flashes of y'all when y'all do that. From me being around, there's times where you're talking to them every day. You guys are texting every day. And then there's a time where, you know, you guys are not communicating. You know, there's times, there's like a month where y'all doing it. And then there's like 7-8 months that you guys are not.
Yeah.
So, you know, you try really hard for the month or so. And then it kind of, you know, I don't know what happens, but it kind of drops off. And then things go automatically back to what your norm is. Your norm is not, you know what I'm saying, you and them. You're both, all of y'all norms are just checking on the other side of the siblings and not really thinking to add or to text them, or you to text each other to see. Because, I mean, how often do you and Tamika and Sharon talk?
We're going to talk probably every other day. If not every day, every other day. We're going to...
2-3 times a week?
Yes. And definitely.
Then you talk to your siblings on your dad's side maybe once a quarter? Once every 3 months? Is it more consistent?
It's very inconsistent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But there's something that you said... Something that you said that I'm like, listen, I don't never want y'all to watch these podcasts and think that I'm the B word, because I'm not the B word, but I just don't want.
You got somebody, will you want to read that before you?
So Bustin' Loose Tooth says, off subject, but how old do you have to be to get in the club?
21 Bustin' Loose. 21. Okay.
Do you want to come to the club? Do you know somebody who's just trying to come to the club? SK3 says, I can totally relate because I have a sister that we share the same mother, and when mom was alive, she tried to make my sister and me get close, but since mom is no longer here, it just seems hard. Let me just say this. Let me just say this. There's this one thing that I really kind of take, that I really I feel blessed, and it just suits me. My mom and I've talked about this on a previous podcast about a totally different topic, but my mom raised my sisters and I were like, listen, it is y'all and y'all and y'all. Like, of course, when she was here, my mom did too. Of course, when she was here, it was like, it is y'all and it's me. It's me. And it's y'all. Like, I don't care. You know, we would triple team and go against her. Like, we would be like, oh, she get on my nerves. I can't stand her. Like, we would do that to her. So we were just embedded. Like, it's just us. And I think the biggest fear was when she passed away. When she passed away, that was like, you know, dang, it's really just us. Like, we were really like, okay, yeah, we really all we got. Like, we all we got or whatever. But sometimes that can be a hindrance. Like, that I have found out that just believing that, just being embedded in you, there's nothing wrong with you guys just being there and being supportive for each other. But sometimes in our community, we take that sugar honey iced tea for its worth. Like, we just milk that. Like, yeah,
that's kind of the downfall. That's kind of what our mom kind of betted us is, you know, it's your siblings first, to the point where, you know, I think my siblings, when they married, they didn't understand that I'm supposed to put my husband first, because our mom taught us, you know, damn everybody else. It's me and my kids. It's y'all against the world. And so, you know, and mom teaching us to, my mom was married, but she didn't really teach us how to, you know, hey, when you get married, it's your spouse first, even before your children.
Yes.
And so that my
mama told us that one day. That broke our heart.
Yeah.
She
told you what?
She told my sisters and I that one day. I think she was married, and we were having a family meeting. We always had a family meeting, like the bathroom, for some odd reason. And we were just talking to her about what we felt and how we felt or whatever. And she was like, y'all do understand that, you know, my husband come before y'all. We're like, what? Like, all these years you've been telling us it's us against the world. It's us. What you mean? It's, nah, we first. We came from you. We your blood. And she was like, yeah. The Bible said. I'm like, I don't care what the Bible said. We are your blood. We are descendants of you. And she, nope. So, yeah, my mama told us that too. And we were just like, what? Your husband?
Yeah.
Girl, you better get your.
You know, it has helped us in a lot of areas, and just kind of, you know, staying real close with your siblings. But you, like you said, in getting to know how life is supposed to be, you know, you have to not let go of those, but pre-arrange and prioritize what in order of importance is. And sometimes that's, when you have moms that raise you like Shanette and our mom raised us, sometimes that could be a difficult thing because it was just drilled in your head the whole time that she was raising you.
How does that order go then? Have you seen that meme? There's a meme that says, have you seen that meme where there's like the guy got out of prison and it said, who should he hug? Who should he go to first? It was like the mother, the wife, or the daughter. Yeah, it was the mother, the wife, and the daughter. And it said, who should he hug first? Get out of prison. So they were asking people to prioritize those people. So who goes first? How does that go?
So it should be your wife, daughter, and mother.
So you put your daughter before your mother?
Yeah, that's what I think it's supposed to be, your wife.
Y'all answer that. So those that are watching, that's my question. Those that are watching, if you are married and husband, wife, children, I want you guys to put that in order for me as it is supposed to be. Not
So give it to them again in case they didn't hear it.
The question is, in that order, how does it supposed to be? So the meme was a guy had gotten out of prison, and the guy got out of prison, and it asked, who should he hug first? It was the mother, the daughter, and the wife. Who should he hug first? So I guess I can ask him that in a minute. So who should it be? Is it the wife? Is it the mother or is it the wife or husband? Is it the mother or son? And then
What do you think?
Huh?
What do you think?
In the order?
In the order.
I think it's husband and children and mother.
So same thing. Mm-hmm. Same thing. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and mama understand. Like, I had a real a RAM. My mom was a RAM. That is an acronym for a real ass mom. So right. Let's see.
SK3 Faith.
She says, I agree with B. Wife, daughter, and mom. Absolutely. Bustin' Loose 2 says wife goes first.
Yeah.
So those that want to know, the wife.
Goes first.
I'm first.
Yep.
Not always, but I'm first.
Yeah.
Anyhow. Yeah, so wife, daughter, and mom is what we have. Bustin' Loose 2 says wife, daughter, and mom. So that's just, I don't know what the Bible said. I don't think the Bible speaks of an order, but I think it just says, what does the Bible say in regards to that?
Well, obviously, you're supposed to cling to your wife first. That's kind of all over the Bible. And if your mom is doing right by you, trying to raise you right, and you're living by the word, she should be cool with that. You know what I mean? But all our moms don't live by the word. Like, come on, let's.
Mama told you that one time. Remember, she was like, "Right, bring your wife in always right."
Yeah. She would say that, and she's right. My wife is not always right.
Shut up.
She's 100% right.
My mother used to be like, "Listen, I know she got that right, but she ain't always right." Now
that's how she would say it too. Really fast.
Mama.
Yeah.
I'm not always right. Nevertheless, so. Let's move. Are we done?
Yeah, I guess.
Are we done there?
So. Yeah, I guess we.
The Bible says, SK3 faces. The Bible says, leave mom and father and cleave to your spouse. That is exactly what I have done.
Yeah, and so just to wrap it up, we all agree that it's going to be the three of you guys to not make your relationship estranged. I've got to do a better job because I am the oldest on my father's side. I'm the oldest on my mom's side as well. But I made myself a promise that when my father passed, that I would do a better job of trying to have a better relationship with Tierra. So I got to get back on that. I've got to make that part of my weekly ritual, like I do with my other siblings, to have some type of communication, whether it's a FaceTime, because she's not in the same city. It makes it a little bit more difficult for me because she's in Texas and I'm in Arkansas. But
can I just say this? As bad as this sound, and guys, please don't butcher me.
No judging.
Please don't, no judging, and please don't butcher me. But it's so. This is the God to honest truth. But as it relates to me, I don't know how my husband feels, but as it relates to me, he is really all that I have. Like, I know I have my sister, so let me just say that. Like, I know I have my people. I know I have people that are here for me, but in my just daily living, like I really live for my husband and my children. Like that's just really, it's just the God's honest truth. So I don't really set forth time just to kind of be, oh, let me kind of check on Tamika today. Oh, let me kind, you like, because there's just so much going on in the life. Not that they don't have any importance in my life, but it's just like, you know.
But with that though, Netta, you still make it a point to, if you haven't talked to your Tamika, Sharon, you gonna text him like, hey, what y'all doing?
Yeah, what the fuck y'all doing? I ain't talking to y'all.
So, you know, in saying that,
in
saying that, shouldn't it not be the same with CJ and Monica?
It should, but what I'm saying is that it shouldn't just be for me.
You're far away from your mic.
It shouldn't just be for me. Like, I know I'm the oldest, but I want them to have the same love and support and respect for me.
And so you're saying that if they're not doing it the same, you don't feel like you should, you know.
No. That's what I'm saying. Because I can only give an account for me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I want the love and the support. I want it to be reciprocated. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that if they don't do it, I'm not going to do it. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I want that too. Like I want what they will want, and I will want that to be reciprocated.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think I've got to do a better job, because I kind of promised myself that I would do. I agree with you that Dad really didn't, he didn't really make it. Even though we were grown, I kind of got, because my dad traveled a lot in the armed forces. I was cool with not talking to him as often. You know what I mean? When I was not as cool, it was like it wasn't part of my daily, weekly, or monthly scheduling. If I didn't talk to Dad, so often, it was cool. If I didn't talk to Mom every 2 or 3 days, there would be an issue. And that only comes from, that's what you get used to. If you're not around your other parent, that's how that all could be estranged. I would admit, when my dad, in his adult life, he did a lot better with us communicating with each other. He did a lot more calling. He did a lot more visiting. He did. When we went to Texas, he would always stop what he was doing and come have dinner with us, come see LeBron games, come to whatever Taylor was doing. So he did a better job in his adult life. But when I was growing up, because he stayed in the army, he was in the Army, and so he moved from place to place. He stayed in so many other different places, and it wasn't, it was like I had a dad, but because it wasn't it's not the relationship that I want to have with my children now. It just, I kind of forgot about him. It wasn't like I could go and stay at his house, because he's always, most of me growing up, he always lived in a different state than I lived. So it was much harder for me to pack my clothes up. Now I could spend some of the summers I went and I spent with them, but there were very few summers that I spent with them. So the time you got some questions you need to. Some comments on Instagram.
Bustin' Loose Juice says, my family has a group text thread, and we keep up with each other on that, even just to drop a hello. That's cool.
Yeah.
We have a text group too. We do
too.
We do too.
So that's it. All right. So next conversation that
we probably should have done that one first, because we're tapering off. So we sounded kind of boring. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah. So the next question was, I wrote it down. Family and friend. Your enemy, my enemy. That's a topic that we're talking about next. So when your family, when you're married, and guys, we really want you to tap in with this question.
Tap in.
So we can get different perspective on works for you. But when you're married or you're in a relationship, and your sibling or your spouse have issues with your family members, do you share those same issues? Do you have issues with your family because they have issues with your sibling, vice versa? Do you have issues with your family when your spouse has an issue with your family? What's the right way? How do you handle that?
What was the question again?
The question is family and friend, your enemy, my enemy. That's what we're talking about. So somebody tap in, and it's with my situation and my wife. It's I really have a very vocal wife, and my family is very vocal. So a lot of times we have these love-hate relationships type thing. This month, we might be on the hate. Next month, we might be on the love.
Why does it always have to be because I'm so vocal when I never say anything?
I said my family. You said my family and my friend, my wife and my family.
The disclaimer that you gave was and always is. So my wife is very vocal,
and my family was vocal,
and my family is very vocal.
Yeah, so it's saying the same thing.
But nothing said is what I'm saying. There's no sense in giving a disclaimer that people are vocal when nothing has been said.
What are you talking about?
In order to exclaim that you're saying that people are vocal, which means they speak out about everything. And I'm just saying that nothing has been said to say that anyone's vocal.
No, I'm not talking about any specific situation.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about the family and friends. So let me just ask the question and I'll let you respond. Family and friends, your enemy, my
that, Lord, I know it's wrong, but if that's your enemy, it's mine too.
Yeah. Who's that?
Bustin' Loose too says, listen, I don't care that they're enemy, they mine too. But I guess it's family and friends. SK3 faces, I believe when you're married, then you have to sweet understanding and boundaries, realizing that this is my spouse and I require both to respect one another.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Yeah. So are you replying to this question ultimately?
I do. So I just I don't know. My family never puts me in situations to make me have to choose. And so that's the only thing that bothers me is that I don't like when people have to, when you place your people in situations to have to choose. I think that's an unfair advantage because a lot of the times when they have to choose, each person wants to be chosen. So, if the family member wants to be chosen and so does the other loved one, the wife or the husband, they want to be chosen. So you put them in a very awkward position to have to choose, especially if it's continuous. If it's a continuous thing, you're making them have to choose one or the other. If there's an issue, vice versa. If there's an issue with the spouse with the family or the family with the spouse, at some point that person then have to choose because you can't keep getting pulled so many different ways. So I guess my response to that is that, listen, y'all know, anybody that knows me and know anything about me, if my husband has a problem, I have a problem. I just have a problem. That's just how it is. Like, if you have a problem with him, okay, yeah, we all have a problem because I just don't believe in, that's with him. That's just with him. If you got a problem with him, then it's just a whole different thing. In other situations and circumstances, like I have had some people make me feel like other people have had an issue with me, but then I find out they really don't have no issue with me, and now I kind of talk to them, and it's like, no, I never had an issue with you. Why do you think that? It's just confusing. I don't know, but. I don't know. I think let me just say this. This is kind of my disclaimer for me. And this is for family and friends, vice versa. And I said this the other day to my husband. We were having a conversation. And I'm just like this. Yes, I'm very vocal. But he only gets everything. Nobody gets everything unless you're hurting my feelings. You stepped on my toes. You done something to him or done something to my children. But he calls me vocal because I tell him everything. I say everything to him.
That's true.
My synopsis to this is this. I don't care about people not fucking with me. I say this all the time. As bad as that sound, whether it's his family, whether it's my family, I don't care about people not fucking with me. You don't have to fuck with me. I'm cool with that. But I want you not fuck with me to be consistent. I don't want you to not fuck with me in April, but then in August, you fucking with me a little bit. Just don't mess with me at all. Like, I want it to be consistent. Just don't consistently. If you like me, I want you to consistently like me. I want you to consistently, love me. If you don't like me, I want you to consistently do so. I just don't like the inconsistency. That's the problem with me. Just be consistent. Just consistently not fuck with me. And I'm cool with that.
All right. You got a comment here.
Let's see. SK3 Face says, if I have to choose, then of course I'm siding with my spouse. But as adults, we should be able to agree to disagree and still be cordial. Bustin' Loose 2 says, tell the girl. I mean, I'm just telling the truth. That's my God's honest truth. That's my opinion. Is that I think it's a 40 thing. Like with this 40 thing, this is what I've said. I've been saying this leading up to 40. My life is about peace. I am at the point because I've seen we've lost so many people to this whole COVID thing. There have been many changes in my life. There have been changes in my husband's life and with our family. There's been so many different changes. So at this point in my life, if you cannot bring me the peace I need to survive, I don't want you around me. Like, so if that means leaving people alone, ignoring people, cutting people off, I'm cool with that. I don't care what your relationship is to me. I don't want inconsistent people around me. If it cannot be consistent, I don't give a damn if it's Mary Magdalene. If you cannot be consistent with me, I don't want you around me. That's anybody. I just don't.
So it's easier for me now. When we first got married, I think the older you get, and I'm saying you, the older my wife, the older my wife gets, the more reasonable I think she gets. Does that make sense? Let me say that again. The older you get, the more reasonable. When we first got married, I think you was on the bullshit a lot of times. You know, you was just, I'm saying we've been married 8 years. So you were 32 when I first met you.
That's a rude.
You know, you were not easy to get along with. And I think the older that you get, the more righteous you get. I see you growing and not trying to be. There's certain things that I know that the kids and I we kind of joke about you. And the inside joke is that you think you know everything. All right. And do. So, but the older you get, the more I see growth in you. And so it's easier for me to have issues with everybody else because I feel like the older you get, the more. I don't know if this is a word. The writer. Is that a word?
The writer?
The writer you be.
The more correct? The
more correct or whatever. But it was a lot difficult because some of the things that when we first got married, I'd be like, Netta, you didn't do that right. You didn't handle that right. So it was harder for me to side with you on some things that I felt like you didn't handle right. I understand about siding with your mate. You know what I'm saying? And not making your mate feel like, you know, I'm riding with my mate. But in the other deal, we want to be right when we side. We want to side with right as well. And so the older that you get nowadays, I don't have an issue with, you know, not dealing with somebody. If a motherfucker have a problem with you, they have a problem with me because I really see growth in you trying to be right. Yeah, I see that growth in you every day. Nobody's perfect. I don't handle things, you know, I don't handle things right every time. But I think that it's a lot easier for your mate to side with you, first of all, when you're right, and second of all, it's our job to defend our mate to our family. Because a lot of times the family really don't care about having they want the relationship with you. I'm the extra. So unless you hold your family accountable to how they treat me, they don't really give a damn about me. In retrospect, vice versa, my family, they want the relationship with me. You're the extra. So it's my job to protect you and make them have to respect you and feel you as important as they are me, because that's how it all stays connected. So I will agree with you. If you got an issue with her, you got an issue with me. And so, but we want that to be right. I mean, we want to be on the side of right. We don't want to be on no bullshit and expect the family to deal with somebody and you on some bullshit. But the majority of the time, as an adult, I feel like that you're on it right. So it's not an issue with siding with you. You got comments here on Instagram. Instagram is blowing up tonight.
Yes, Best Loose 2 says, that's right, I can't deal with the fakeness. Me neither, child. SK3 Faith says, I believe in the public eye. It's good to side with your mate, and then behind closed doors, you should be able to correct your mate if something was not done right.
Which means correct them when they get home. Say, I sided with you, but you know what you said at dinner was fucked up. You said some fucked up shit. You know you should have said that. That was some fucked. So that's what she's saying. Not disagreeing out in public, but getting to that house and and having a real intelligent conversation about
why? I guess because that's being fake to me as well. So I guess the bonus and the blessing in he and I. So I can only speak and attest for myself and my husband. The blessing in us is that we've been around each other long enough to know when one of us is saying some bullshit. Like, excuse me, if I say something that he's in disagreement with, I can kind of look at his face and he like, then I'm probably gonna be like, well, no, I didn't mean it like that, or something like, you know what I'm saying? I'll try to fix that shit.
Show the face.
Yeah, like if I say something that's fucked up that he disagrees with, he'll be like, just kind of this look. Like if anybody that knows him knows that my husband's very monotone. Like he doesn't change his tone. He doesn't change he's just kind of like that. He gives you that. So if he kind of give me that look, like, then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't mean that shit or whatever. But he and I are pretty much on the same page publicly. Like, it's very far and few where, you've just seen us, like, on some BS out in public, because I think we can kind of read each other.
We're a lot alike, too.
Yeah, we're very much alike. Yeah.
We handle things different.
We do.
But I think we're a lot alike in just the way we move. We kind of, a lot of times we don't have to discuss things because we kind of the same. We're a lot alike in those ways. But
I do expect for him to, go along, to have my back publicly. We've never really had that issue, but that's what my expectation is. And if there's, I don't even think there's necessarily a time when we've got in a car and he was like, Netta, that was some bullshit. I don't think there's ever a time when that's happened, because again, like I said, we're kind of both common. Like, we can sense the bullshit. I can sense the BS, and so that's why we have phones. If I get the sense in the BS, a lot of times if he's around in the same vicinity and he can sense it, then he'll be like, "Baby, you ready to go?" Or I'll text him like, "Hey, such and such," to say, "Okay, yeah, I'm not vibing. Let's go." But yeah, that's really kind of being in tune with your mate. Like, I'm just grateful that he doesn't put me and keep me in positions that that makes me uncomfortable, I guess is the word to use. He don't keep me in uncomfortable situations.
And as I said, we've kind of built we're in our own world.
We are.
And I say this to where we do the same old things every week. So, when you were talking about you really don't have time to build relationships with the siblings based on how our life is set up, that's a little bit of true. And the fact that if the siblings are not intertwining themselves with things that we have already going on, it's really going to be hard. It's hard for us to, a lot of times, to find an hour and a half every week to do this podcast, even though we committed to doing it, because our lives, we're entangled and we're involved in so many different deals, and we're pulled in so many different areas that, in order for you to have this great relationship with your siblings, they would have to be willing to maybe come to one of Randy's game, or come to the nightclub, or do something that we're already set up to do. She just turned 40. I'm approaching 50. So it's downhill for us. I think for us, it's time out for trying to get relationships that are hard. So if anything is hard for us, it's probably not going to get done. If it just doesn't naturally, flow and what we got going on, these relationships probably won't happen. It's just because of how our life is set up. And so that doesn't mean that, we don't care about those, half siblings or whatever. But it's just the way it is, and it's smooth sailing for us. If something is hard and difficult, and it seems like it's forcing, I don't know how much energy you can put into that at this point in life. At this point in life, things need to, you need to do the difficult relationships, in your 20s. Things in your 40s and 50s, things gotta be easier because you've done them for 20, 30 years, so they shouldn't be hard. They just really shouldn't. Do we have more comments on here? Have we already?
I think that's it.
Read?
Yep, I think that was all. But nevertheless, I am ecstatic about where we are. For those that don't know, like, I'm really, really ecstatic about where we are. Only because, as he mentioned a few minutes ago, like, at the beginning of this thing, all I would ever think about is, I'm your wife, and you should stand up for me in any circumstance. So that was my presumption. My presumption was just what we just talked about, kind of the whole, what order does this go in? And so because I took the position as a wife, I felt like he was supposed to have my side for everything, like everything right and or wrong, only because I feel like I had reasoning. And so to now understand that it's taken him 8 years, I feel like his wife has had some
growing.
What?
Growing. You've grown.
Whatever. Anyhow, so you guys, I know you're going to watch this podcast, so that's kind of really our question for the podcast, is that, if you have somebody that's a friend, a family member of yours, or a friend, and they have an enemy, somebody they don't deal with, do you expect for that person to be your enemy as well? Or do you just allow them to have their own opinion? Are they okay with just having their own opinion to people or things? Or do you just want to make them choose? Do you make them choose a side? Pick a side.
Yeah.
It depends on who it is with me. It depends on the relationship.
I think that's a lot. That's perfectly stated. I think it depends on who it is as well. If it's somebody that you could do without, what the hell, But that's a great segue. I think it has a lot to do with who it is, what it is. A lot of those factors come into play.
It does.
Yes.
Because I don't want to deal with nobody.
Yeah,
Bustin' Loose 2 says, I'm actually dealing with that right now. What are you dealing with? Give us a little synopsis of your story. Are you dealing with somebody that, listen.
They say the older you get, the wiser you get. And hopefully I'm getting wiser. I think family is very important. You know what I mean? We're not going to get on here and say the family is not important, because I think family is very important.
It is.
But I think we all have some bullshitters in every family.
And do, which is why I don't deal with 72% of mine.
We have some bullshitters in every family, but
72%.
It is what it is. So you're answering the question. We're waiting on your response, Bustin' Loose 2, what you're actually dealing with.
You're just going to stop until they answer the question?
There it is.
It says, I have a friend, a woman, who is our friend, but we don't really talk. But she will text my husband and I'll be, no, ma'am. No, sir, no, ma'am. Let me tell you something. No, sir, no, ma'am.
I'm just stepping away to get my charger.
No, sir, no, ma'am. We don't do that. And she says, and I get upset about it because I feel that she's out of line. She is 100% out of line. Like, listen, friend, family, sister, brother, cousin. Like, people have to understand. This is where the disrespect lies, and people don't get it. And this is my synopsis. This is my opinion, because this is our podcast. People don't understand that the line of disrespect comes when people feel like they can have access to a part of you without having access to you or having a relationship with you, as long as they can have access to the primary person. No, damn it. We are as one. So you don't get to just have a good relationship, or baby, that's not going to stay. Do you think?
Hold it.
You hold it?
I have to, because it's going to go down. Go ahead. I'm listening to you.
You don't get to have a blooming relationship with my husband or a cordial relationship with my husband, but not deal with me. Like, that doesn't happen. That cannot happen. That does not happen. I don't allow that. You cannot. Like, I've even told my husband.
So I'm gonna ask her this question, Bustin' Loose. Who is this person, and who is this? Is this your boyfriend, your husband? And who are they? Who are they to try to have a relationship with your boyfriend or husband, but not you? How do you play a part in this relationship? Maybe I can bring you on live, and let me.
That'd be nice if you can bring them on live.
I can bring. How do you?
You have to ask if she's willing to join live.
Bustin' Loose 2, are you willing to come on our live and elaborate on your story here? Just comment yes or no. I don't know if you're in a place where you can come on live, but we would like to bring you on live to elaborate and get some questions answered to see if we could help you out with this situation. I'm pretty sure you're not the only person that's going through this. It's probably somebody else is having the same issue. So Bustin' Loose 2, please respond and see if you guys, if you're willing. And I know that we could probably bring you on live through here, even though I don't want to.
That's okay.
Right.
So those that need to, so that's kind of the question. So the question was for those that's on that's going to be on the watch the podcast, and then those is on our Facebook page. So the question was, they have a friend, and I think she and the friend are no longer communicating or something. However, the friend still texts her husband, and she said that she gets upset about it because she feels she's out of line. So
it was her friend first, is what you're thinking, Ned? Is that how it went? It was her friend
maybe
first?
Maybe her friend first, or a mutual friend. Listen, I don't give a damn. Let me tell you something.
Listen, you don't have to put your face on it. You can just talk through it. We just need to be able to communicate. You can put the camera up to the ceiling if we can just be able to answer the questions that we're asking you. You don't have to have your face on there, Bustin' Loose 2.
It's
if you want
okay.
to. You can put the phone facing the ceiling as long as we can get you to answer the questions. Because I have a couple of questions to ask you to get a better understanding. Okay, she said okay. So can you request to come into my live, Bustin' Loose Hoops? Can you do that and I'll accept you? And for those of you guys that are on Facebook, we're actually streaming on Facebook and my IG page, which is B Level ENT. Joined. She said join, but she's not here yet.
No, that's someone different. I think if she can request.
Too, yes. I'm waiting on a request for you to join.
Oh, I gotta prop my legs up, baby. Hi, let's see who's on Facebook. Let's see. Have they changed the thing where you can't tell who's viewing your live anymore? Because I can see some of y'all, but I can't see all of y'all. I'm sorry. I can only see when you comment. So if you're on my Facebook live, give me a wave.
Facebook, we need y'all to
give me a wave or a heart or something so I can see who's on here.
And Facebook is normally our better social media. It's probably
well, baby, it's 10:42. So you know the kids say Facebook is our old people. Yeah.
All old people is sleep.
Yeah, they say it's for our old people.
Okay, view request.
Go live. Did you click it? There it goes.
I did. Where is
it? Oh, at the bottom. Okay.
There she is.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you? So before we kind of get into this, so we had someone commented on Facebook, and just to kind of give a response to your question, Brittany says that your friend is completely out of line because once you cut ties with me, you need to cut ties with my husband as well. And if my husband continues to communicate with that person, we definitely have a problem, in all caps. In all caps.
So my question to you is this friend.
Thank you, Brittany. Congrats on Grayson. He's so handsome. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Sorry. This friend, was she your friend or was she your... Now, are you married?
I'm married.
Okay. So was she your friend or was she your husband's friend first?
So she was my friend first, but it was more or less like, you could say she was my friend first because my husband and her husband were both in the military at the same time. And then, so we were just like military wives, like friends like that first.
I gotta have it so I can.
You're gonna cover up the mic.
And of course, so then of course we're friends, and then our husbands are, we're friends.
So you guys were couple friends, basically. Okay. And so you guys stopped speaking. Did y'all have an argument, a fallout? What happened that you guys are not speaking anymore, talking?
It's good. It's a good. Let me go live on my Instagram too.
Sorry, busting loose. We're kind of losing you here. Our internet is not acting right, which I don't know why, but your Wi-Fi still on? Okay, we lost her.
No,
we lost her. Yeah, check it out.
Hold on, it's good.
Okay. So busting loose too, if you will, please. I don't know if that. I guess that's your internet. If you can try to join us again, we'll try to bring you in again. What's up, Shine? I see Shine is on here. What's up, sister?
How do I do that?
All right, so as we waiting for Busting Loose 2 to come back in, she had a question. One of the questions that she stated is she had a friend who was a mutual friend between her and her husband, but they fell out and they're not talking anymore. And so the lady friend is still communicating with the husband, but she's married also, and the husband's her husband and her best friend husbands are friends. And so she's still texting the husband and communicating with the husband, but she does not talk to her. And so that's what we were trying to review request. Let me try it again. Go live at Bustin' 2. All right, you're coming in again. She's coming in here in a minute. All right, we got you. Are you somewhere where you have a low internet connection?
I might be, but can you all hear me now?
We can hear you just fine now.
Okay.
So we kind of lost you when you were explaining the relationship with the couples and how y'all fell out and you were explaining. Start there again.
Yeah, so what happened was me and her kind of fell out because I had heard some discrepancies about her. And her being my friend, you know, I just decided to go to her with it and talk to her about it. And so she more or less got upset about it. And still she had not really answered my question that I asked her after all this time. And so, you know, like she's friends, you know, with my husband, and then, you know, we've been friends for so long till my kids, she considers her nieces and nephews, and I consider her children, you know, like mine, like my nieces, you know, as well.
Right.
And so ever since then, me and her we don't really talk. But now, after so long, I think it's probably been maybe about 5 or 6 years now, we really hadn't talked per se with each other. But now she's kind of come around where she's beginning to kind of reach out to me and everything to kind of try to get our friendship back. But during the time we weren't really talking to each other, she was still texting my husband. And, you know, and so I would let him know that I didn't feel like that was right. And like I would get really pretty upset about it. And I would tell him, like the way to do that is, you know, when she texts you, you know, say something along the nature of, well, have you spoken to my wife about it or something?
Absolutely.
And that's the way you do it. And, you know, he would just be like, oh, well, I'm not getting in the middle of y'all because y'all are fighting with each other. And that's y'all. That's half the problem. I don't have the problem. But, you know, you and her have the issue with each other. And me and her are still friends. And me and her husband are still friends. And so y'all, I don't want y'all to put me in the middle of it.
Really? Yeah, I think that's difficult. And I think... you know, I had to learn to understand that it is an important aspect to this relationship, a part of this relationship, to really learn to have your friends to be accountable, because you guys are one. You know, so if you got an issue now, the thing about it is, obviously, you know, you want to make sure your partner is right. Your husband don't want you to be on the bullshit. But but let me say this: she should not be trying to communicate with your husband and not have a relationship or communicate with you.
Right.
That's the divide. You know, and
that's a negative.
Now, like I said, I do understand sometimes your husband now, without really, you said you asked her a question and she never responded, and this is the issue that you had with her. Was it you guys fell out? You asked her to explain something that happened, and she just basically ignored you, saying, "I guess I don't have to explain that to you." Is that how the falling out happened?
Right. And since then, since she's kind of come back to start trying to communicate more with me, we kind of went over that all over again. And she told me that she felt like she didn't have to explain. She didn't have to give me an explanation.
Yeah.
Because I was her friend, and that I should have trusted her, and that she didn't feel like that she had to answer my question.
So let me ask you.
I told her, I thought that it was relevant enough that she should have answered the question, because I felt like I'm not listening to anybody else had to say, but I'm coming to you because you are my friend. So I'm coming to you to ask you instead of just listening from what somebody else told me. I'm coming to you. I'm coming to bringing it, to you so I can hear it from you.
So when y'all fell out, did you expect your husband and her husband to stop speaking?
I did not at all.
Okay. So you were just So you were just saying to your husband, because she has not tried to make that relationship and gave me an opinion on something, a question that I asked, she should not be able to talk to you. I don't expect you not to have a relationship with your friend, but since she has the issue with me, you should have an issue with her.
I don't feel like he should have an issue with her, but it's more to when, like, if she's, communicate with him, like the same way as if I was to text her husband.
Right. Yeah, and what kind of things is she texting him? Like, what is she texting him? Like, what questions would she need answered that she would feel comfortable to text him and not her husband, for her husband to ask him? Look like I may lose her.
And then let's see, someone commented to what she said. SK3 faces, and as friends, we should be able to ask and respond to whatever concern we have towards one another.
Can I send her my business number so we can? Because she's not in video. What's her name again? I'm gonna inbox her the business number, let her call, and let's put her through there.
Bustin' Loose too.
Is this her Bustin' Loose too?
Mm-hmm. I guess. I mean, there's nothing wrong, as you said. That's kind of nothing wrong with the you're not able to just tell her in the live to call her. But hold on. Brittany says that's difficult. I feel like if he wants to keep the peace and he needs to respect how she feels, it's a respect thing. I agree. Like,
let me get Bustin' Loose to 501-650-9726.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with the husband still keeping their friendship, but at the place where the wives were no longer communicating, you don't reach out to my husband for nothing. No. And so that should have been stopped at the very beginning. When she did that, the conversation should have been, listen, I'm friends with your husband, so if you need to communicate something to myself and or my wife, communicate that to your husband. I feel very uncomfortable having a relationship with you and talking to you separately when you're not dealing with my wife. And so that's what I'm saying, that people feel like they can have access to the person that's important to them, but not have access to you. As long as they have access to that person, they don't really give a damn about having a relationship. But that's not how that works. That's not how that goes.
And that's blurred lines anyway. Like, that's, I don't. If I need to communicate with any of my wife's friends, I'm gonna go through my wife. I ain't communicating, and vice versa. My wife wants to get anything to any of my friends. My wife ain't calling none of my friends. She gonna call me and say, hey, ask Cream this, or ask Spider this, or ask Bun this. That's blurred lines, and you don't want those relationships. Even though I trust my wife and I trust my friends, but I think there's just boundaries that you don't cross, and she shouldn't feel comfortable with texting and communicating with them if she ain't had this issue that we need to clean up. I actually had this same situation that happened with one of my friends and his wife, and she and I had a conversation, and I just said, hey, this is my people. So this is my wife. So if you got an issue with her, if we can't come to no agreement, then we can't have no relationship. Now, me and my partner is still friends. So that has happened with me as well.
It didn't help.
If you want to call back and finish it, call our business phone, 501-650-9726, 501-650-9726. And there's obviously, you've got internet connections and we can finish it. We're going like in a couple hours now, right? So
so for those who don't know, don't understand, because let me just say this, my husband, he's a very friendly guy. It's friendly, and there are some people and relationships that he had prior to he and I becoming husband and wife. But nevertheless, if he rocking, I'm rolling, and vice versa. So
it's a together thing.
Yeah,
we rolling this thing together, and so But the issue is probably not with her. The issue should be with the husband, right? So the husband, you got to give him accountable, because he's the one that's. Hold on, this may be her.
Ow.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can get you now. So we don't have to use the internet connection. So you were speaking in the fact of, You know, where do
hungry?
we? Yeah, you're hungry. There's some barbecue over there. Yeah. So okay. So now you're on the line. You can go ahead and start off, which I don't remember where you left off, but you were explaining something before you dropped.
Yeah, so what the issue is like I said, her and her husband they're fine with it, like I said, with my husband speaking with both of them, but my issue is that she would text him and not me. Mm-hmm. And so then he would let me know, that she dropped a text or whatever, and I just would let him know that I didn't feel like that was, good.
But my question to you was, what is she texting your husband? What kind of questions is she texting him? Like, why are they communicating? What is she texting him?
Okay, so when she reached out to him, she was letting him know that her father had passed. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, why didn't she let me know? She could have texted me and let me know that her father passed. And I said, even though me and her weren't really talking and stuff like that, still it could have been that she could have texted me that and it would have been no problem. Because even though we're not talking and we're not, communicating with each other, that's not going to, I'm not going to have a issue with her texting to let me know something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not heartless in that manner,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the husband could have texted that, right? That, hey, my wife just lost her mom. So the husband could have texted your husband that as well, right? Is that the only thing that she's texted? Is that the only, or are there multiple texts?
I don't even think it matters of the content of the text. It just shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, but I'm asking, is that the only text or are there other texts?
That's something that she's done that's upset me. And then also something else that she's done that she's upset me is that she feels like, she's told me that she wants to have a relationship, with my children where they feel like comfortable enough to come to her and discuss things with her that they're not necessarily comfortable discussing with me. But yet, that's how she wants the relationship with my kids to be, but she doesn't want me to have that same type of relationship with her children.
Yeah. So, Netta, what do you think?
I think it's some bullshit. I just think it's bullshit, just to be honest, because, I'm just, in all honesty, like, once they relate, there's nothing wrong with, how the relationship came about, is what I'm saying. If there are any communicative efforts at this point, the communicative efforts should be between the husbands. And mm-hmm. I do agree with you. If she had the courage and the audacity to text your husband to say that her father passed, she could have sent you that same text. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because surely you guys were friends and she knows your character and she knows that you're not going to just be like, don't text my phone, because that's a sympathetic situation. Nevertheless, and so I was trying to get down to why my husband was asking what the text messages says, because it does not matter what the context of the text messages are. Don't have any conversations with my spouse. If you're not dealing with me or communicating with me, you shouldn't have no conversation with him. I don't care what it's about. There's no reason for you to do so. And even as it goes down to the kids, like, my children has a mama. They have a mother. I don't need you to offer having a relationship with them to come, if they can't come to me and tell something to me to come to you. Why? Because how do I know that you have my children's best interest? You're not dealing with me. You're not dealing with me. So anything that's connected to me, which would be my husband and my children, you can't deal with them either. So
everybody off limits.
Everybody is off limits. You don't get a chance to say, I'm not going to deal with you, but I'm going to talk to your husband on special circumstances, or offer to continuously have relationship with your kids if they can come. No. When you sever those ties with me, severing those ties with me means anything that's connected to me, right, which is my husband and my children. We cannot have any further conversation or any of that. Like, and so that's kind of where people go lost at, and the reason why that happens is because they're not stopped at the beginning. Like at the beginning, and I'm not taking any of telling you to get upset with your husband, but at the beginning, if she didn't hear from you, then your husband and or your children, if they're old enough, should have said, listen, if you cannot be respectful or cordial, have a conversation with my mom or my wife, then you and I can't have a conversation. Because again, people feel like as long as they can have access to the person they want access to, they don't have to deal with somebody else. And when you condone it, that makes it even worse. That makes the situation even worse.
We got some comments, right, on IG.
So let's see. Sean said that's right. She said because one thing the husband is gonna right or wrong, but husband and wife sit down and talk about it to see if this can be brought to the table as friends to be on one accord. She says exactly to something I was saying. I know. SK3 Face says she could text him Mary had a little lamb, and I wouldn't give a damn how little the lamb is. If you can't,
was that SK3?
Yeah, she said if you can't respect me, then lose my spouse information. That's dead wrong. Sean says my thing. She says my thing. They're really trying to reach out to you, but doing it indirectly to the husband. If we're friends, I still have a heart for my friend losing a loved one. Absolutely. She said you're so right. She said that's right. The hub's right and right or wrong and gonna correct it. That's true.
Yeah, so it seems like you probably need to be having that conversation. Netta says she ain't gonna say you'd have a problem with your husband, which we don't want to be in between. But I think the husband have to make her accountable. She's not accountable. Obviously, she feels like she can go around you and have parts of your family and parts of your children in a relationship with your husband. And I don't think it's unfair to be cool with the husband still having the relationship.
Absolutely.
But I think the woman needs to respect the fact that, hey, we won. You ain't rocking with her. You ain't rocking with me. So, if you can't text, your husband could have texted me that you lost your father. I would have got the information to my wife. You know what I mean? And so, and I just think that the other thing is that's blew a line, that's crossing the line. And I think that, even as best friends, I think that those conversations still go through those partners. I think that you should be communicating with your husband. So you probably want to have that conversation. And I think it starts and end with your husband. And if he feels like that, I don't want to be in your stuff, then it's never going to get solved, because a lot of times we help each other fall out. I'm in my wife's stuff all the time about her friends. Now I don't when I say I'm in her stuff, when she talks to me, I say, well, baby, that ain't right. I give her my opinion. I'm not in it as it relates to talking to her friends. But of course, everything that happens to me, relationships with my friends, conversations, I always tell people, you don't want my wife? No, don't tell me, because we talk about everything. You know what I mean? And so, but you guys have got to be on the same page too. Like, y'all have got to figure it out. You and your husband have to figure it out so that he could keep her, on the same page. And if he doesn't want to get in it, I don't really know how you get out of that stuff, because she's going to continue to want to communicate with him, and he needs to have her to, hey man, you either need to go through your husband, because we can't have no communication, because you still got the issue with my people, which is my wife. So I would suggest that you kind of sit down with the husband and can continue to let him know that, because he may not get it.
Tell him how that makes you feel.
He may not get it the first or second time, and so you might want to keep communicating with him that's an issue with you. And a lot of times we hard head, man. We don't listen. So sometimes you have to tell us something multiple times for us to say, well, shit, she done said this 3 times. I see that this is really a big issue. So don't give up on him. I mean, this is your husband. So, but you have to continue to tell him how this makes you feel. And hopefully after continually explaining that to him, hopefully at some point in time, he will get it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But she's wrong.
Yep.
If that's the question, she's wrong.
I agree with you. She's wrong. And thank you for calling and chiming in, even though you didn't want your face on it. We got an issue. I think that a lot of people may be going through this, and you may help somebody else in their relationship. And their
we went through it, and we're just now getting it figured out. So I understand that we didn't get it right. There were some relationships that my husband felt, just kind of felt like he had prior to me, not even us, getting mutually. There were relationships he had prior to me that he doesn't feel like he needed to deflect or not have because of me, that we just got on the same page of him understanding what it meant for us to really be as one. And people say that all the time, but really don't stand by what that means. Like, sometimes people only use that as a convenience to them. Like, no, we're one when it comes to money, or we're one when it comes, but then when it's really meant to happen or is meant to be put in place, you don't use it. And being as one comes in all standards of your marriage, not just one part of it. Like, yeah, we're really one. Like, I don't expect to be friends with everybody he's friends with, and vice versa. But they understand what it is.
We're a package deal.
Yeah,
that's
you take
sure.
us both.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So thank you for chiming in. Did we help you out? Did we answer your question?
Yes.
Huh?
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and you have a good night.
You too.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we know it's late. You want to read these last comments?
Sean says our eyes and facial expression speaks volumes. It does.
Yeah, so it's really late. We've been on almost for
2 hours. It is time for bed.
So it's time for bed at 11 o'clock. Thank you for hanging out with us late. Tell them really quick how they can get our podcast, how they can hear it, audio and visual. Tell them really how they do that. Are you talking? Oh, she just quit talking on me. So just search for any podcast source. We have to say that before we leave. Love Wins by The Steward. Please check the subscribe button so when we put out an episode on Anchor or any other places, you will get a notification that there is a new episode. On the video part, we'll live on YouTube, which is Brian Stewart Sr. Brian with the Y. Bryan Stewart Sr. That's with the video. You can see the video on YouTube, okay? Sponsors. Inboxes if you want us to sponsors. We appreciate you guys for hanging out with us so late.
We do.
Happy
It's late.
Memorial Day. We want to say hats off to all the veterans who've served for our country.
Absolutely.
You are important to us. You have protected our country, and so we appreciate all of the veterans. So happy Memorial Day. And this is season 3, episode 3. And until next week, we try to tape on Sunday nights, but sometimes our life get difficult and we push it to Monday. So we'll try to see you next Sunday night at 7 p.m.
Bye.
Good night.